Welcome back. I have one more major change that I want to make to the vintage off-road wrecker before I head out to the Matt's off-road games. My hope is that this is the final major change that I will ever be making to this vehicle, and I think it is also probably the biggest. Underneath the hood of this truck, I have the original Dodge L-head. I'm not planning on changing the engine on this truck. If I wanted a modern truck, I would buy a modern truck, but I want to drive a vintage vehicle, so it's going to keep the original drivetrain. And I fitted this engine last year with a Weber 2-barrel carburetor. And this year, I think it's time to switch to this. This is a fuel-injected throttle body that is a direct replacement for the 2-barrel Weber. You can see each Venturi has its own injector, and most of the sensors needed for this conversion are built into the throttle body. I've always wanted to try out one of these conversions, and there's not any better vehicle to try it on than this one. These Weber carburetors are the typical swap for small American engines, as well as most European engines like British, German, and Italian cars. The ECU that I'm going to be using is the MaxxECU Mini. This is a really tiny computer that I will be able to mount easily somewhere under the engine bay. And I also have a custom wire harness to connect up all the sensors that I need to the ECU. Up on the firewall, I have this USB outlet to charge some cameras, but that looks like it would be the perfect place to put the ECU. I have the ECU mounted now along with the fuse and relay box, along with the idle control module and the lambda control module. Sitting over here, this is the wiring that is going to go back to the fuel pump. Coming out a little further, this is the ignition control module. The computer will be controlling all the timing. We have a connector for a coolant temp sensor. The O2 sensor, these wires will connect to the Pertronics I have in the distributor, and these ones will connect to the coil. And we have battery positive and negative, and all of these connectors connect to all the sensors that are built into the throttle body. So that's all the various sensors that come mounted here. I'm going to connect all the wires except not install the throttle body and not connect the ignition for now. That way the truck is still drivable until I'm ready, but I want to power up the computer and make sure that everything is connected. I need a solid place to pick up temperature, so I'm going to use this port in the water pump. I had this temp sensor for the gauges plugged in there, but I'm going to need to swap it with the smaller M12 one for the fuel injection system. To be able to plug an M12 into a 3/8 fitting, I'm going to have to make a custom fitting, so I'll drill and tap this one. I've got the lathe set up. I need to drill a hole through the fitting first. Looks like I'm all the way through it. Now I'll run my tap in. Feels like I'm through. Let's see if the sensor fits. Perfect, I'll get it installed. I was not able to get the MaxxECU drivers to install on my laptop, which has an ARM processor, but this one has an Intel processor. So I'm gonna turn the ignition on and we'll see if it communicates with the ECU. Ignition is on. Looks like we are getting some things, coolant temp, battery voltage. Now that I know I can communicate with the ECU, this is the point of no return. If I go any further, the truck will be disabled until I finish the install. With the carburetor off the vehicle, you can really see the similarities between the carburetor and the throttle body. The fuel comes in on the same side on both of these. Airflow through the filter is going to be more efficient on the throttle body because it does not have these tall risers on it. All I really need to do to make this work is swap over the throttle linkage that I was using on the carburetor over to replace this one on the throttle body and run an extra fuel line that returns the fuel to the tank, as this has a built-in regulator in it. I'll swap over the linkage and then get the throttle body bolted on. I have all of the electrical done now. I was able to switch my temperature sensor for the gauge up into this pipe. My O2 sensor is mounted down there. The only thing left to do is to switch my low pressure fuel pump to a high pressure one, and that will come in this port here. And then I'll need to run a return line out of this port here. In my previous video, I did add a return port to the new fuel tank, so that's already set up. So I just need to run a hose from here to the tank. The fuel lines are hooked up now. Let's see if it'll start up. I'll start it up. Sounds pretty good. Now that it's running, one of the things I want to test is the rev limiter. My old rev limiter was set to 3,000 RPM. So let's program that in. And this computer allows us to change our rev limiter based on fuel, ignition, or both. So let's see how each one of these reacts, and then we'll choose the best scheme. If I don't like any of these, then I'll connect my old box up, but I want to investigate this first, because if this works, I'm going to take out the old rev limiter and all of its wiring. So first up is the fuel rev limiter. That didn't sound too bad, but it looked like I hit 3,100 RPM or higher there. Let's now try the ignition. That did sound different. That sounded a little bit like my old rev limiter, which was an ignition rev limiter. So now let's try both. This time we have it on the fuel rev limiter with the ignition rev limiter kicking in afterwards. That one was much more accurate, and I did not see it hardly go above 3,000 RPM. My old rev limiter is an MSD unit, which you can see mounted under the dashboard here. To change the RPM on this device, you change these white chips, which each have a number corresponding to the RPM that they cut out on. This is now a bunch of wiring that I don't need to have underneath my dashboard, so I'm going to get the wiring and the unit pulled out. Now that everything is buttoned up and the vehicle is warmed up, I need to finish setting up the ECU. If we look at our idle air control, it's at 1%. So basically we're not using that at all at the moment. If I change this over here, we can now see our battery voltage. It's only 13 volts. So I'm gonna need the RPM to be faster than this so that we get it charging. So let's go up to the table and let's change that to say 900 RPM. We'll hear the engine increase. We're now above 900. Our voltage over here, still not that great. So let's jump up to 1,000 RPM. Now we just heard the engine increase. Engine is now right around 1,000. Battery voltage is right at 14 volts where we want it. So I don't ever want my idle to be less than this. And if we look at our idle air control, we're at about 4%. We want to be somewhere between 5 and 10% to allow the ECU to adjust this correctly. I need to increase the percentage that it's working, so that means I need to unscrew the idle just a little bit. I can read the screen from here. We're about 5% now. I can hear the air bleed working in the carburetor now. Let's go back to the computer and check it. So our RPM is just about 1,000 where we want it. Our battery voltage is looking good at 14 volts. And our idle air duty cycle is at 8%. So that's a good number. That means that the ECU is now in control completely of where my idle is. And it's going to be able to adjust it properly. So now I just want to adjust these idle tables so that I am never below 1,000 RPM. There we go. And now our idle is set up. Now I want the ECU to start automatically tuning a little bit, but I need to update these tables because my engine is never going to reach the RPMs listed in some of these tables. So I can definitely get rid of anything above 4,000 because my engine will never reach that. And then I'm going to add some columns just to make this a little bit more accurate. So I'm going to insert a column there as well as here. That way, once I do start tuning, I will reach into these other rev ranges and start tuning into those areas. So we can see here that it has already started to auto-tune changes within 5 of these cells, actually 6 of these cells. And if I want to apply those, I can click Apply Correction to VE Table, hit yes. Now we'll reset here and it will start looking for more corrections. I'll go through and fully tune all the tables later, but this is just to start getting things on the right path and a good starting point. One other value that I want to check is under Fuel General. I want to make sure that gasoline is selected, because here I will be using gasoline only. If you are in an area where you can only get ethanol fuels, you'll probably want to select E10. But in my area, I can still get fuel from the pump without any ethanol at all. So I will be running gasoline only. And this is the last of the settings that I need to change before I start tuning. In the next video, I'll be putting the truck on the dyno and we'll get this fully tuned. The Weber throttle body that I used on this truck is the typical replacement that you would use on 6- and 4-cylinder engines on cars from England, Italy, Germany, and Japan, as well as 6-cylinder trucks here in the United States. So this setup that I installed today has a vast number of uses and can be installed on most cars. I have worked on and owned other cars that were converted to fuel injection, and this is the best setup that I have seen so far. So it's likely that I'll be installing one of these kits on one of my British cars soon. The stock distributor in this truck had no vacuum advance and could only advance the timing by 10 degrees. Now that the ECU is completely controlling my timing, I have much more flexibility and range for timing options on this engine. So if you want to see me work through tuning this engine and putting it on the dyno to see how much more power it might make sure that you comment below and click subscribe.